And welcome to Prime Business. I am Emma Davis. Let's settle for the details. President of the Ghana Chamber of Construction and Industry, Emmanuel Cherry, has attributed the delays in most government construction projects to the International Monetary Fund conditionalities. According to him, this could consequently increase the initial cost of projects by burdening the nation in the long run. He spoke in an interview with Joy Business at a training workshop in Dodowa.
2024 is an election year, and typically government's major road projects are either commissioned, completed, or abandoned. However, the president of the Ghana Chamber of Construction and Industry, Emmanuel Cherry, speaking in an interview with Joy Business, cautioned government to desist from venturing into projects without the requisite funding.
Well, our politicians, if you know you don't have money for a project, why awarding projects? You award projects knowing that there's a fund. Available dedicated fund for that particular project, but they award the project without the requisite fund. The contractor finish his part of the obligation, expecting you to pay so that it continue. The money is not coming, so you realize that the contractor also, the little money he or she has pumped that money into the first phase. He's locked up. He's expecting money to come to continue. The money is not coming. What do you expect him to do? He will move from site. So that's the reason why you see a lot of abandoned projects all over the places.
Emmanuel Cherry further attributed the delays in major road projects to the IMF program.
IMF conditionality also has dictated this particular casualty, this canker we are witnessing, because IMF says some of the particular project, donor-funded project, loans and what have you, all those particular projects must be put on hold. So that's the reason why you see Tema runabout to Nungwa Teshin Road redevelopment is stopped. Abosokan flyover stop. Takrady stop. Kumanse stop. Now that government through his budget is trying to make some allocation for those particular contractors to go back to site. But don't forget, it's costing us so much as a nation. What good have you done to our country? That money could have been, those interest on delay payment could have been used to do other projects. But today, it's going into one project for no work done, or because of what? Negligence.
In December 2023, it was reported that about 100 road projects in the central region were abandoned by the contractors, include about 30 projects under the Ghana Highway Authority, 40 others under the Urban Road Department, and others under the feeder roads.
Associate Professor of Finance at Andrews University in the USA, Professor William Pepra, has disclosed that it will be difficult for government to consider renegotiating some of the terms that led to a halt in these major construction projects with the IMF. Speaking to Joy Business, Professor Pepra urged government to explore other revenue measures apart from taxes.
It's very difficult for government to raise money now. We've gone past the limit of taxation. If we increase the taxes to raise money to pay contractors, it's going to be very difficult. We cannot borrow also from international market to come and pay contractors. Raising bonds locally has become a challenge. The only source is using the treasury bill or money market. And that is, if you carefully look at the money we are raising through the money market, this is only used to pay emoluments, salaries of workers. Other sectors, we cannot get the money to pay the other sectors. So this is why it's become a very big challenge for government. The fact is, we don't have money to pay these contractors. And government shouldn't have started a project like Agenda 111, East Hospitals going, we didn't have the money. So if once you don't have the money to start this project, and you have started them, you are going to cause, that's what has happened, a major financial mess or cost in the whole system. I mean, if you want to look for other revenue measures, are we going to get money from our donors that coming in from IMF? We know that the bilateral entities are also going to support us, and World Bank is also going to give us some money. Are we going to be strategically say that we are going to see some of them to pay these contractors? That should be the only strategy. At the moment, whoever the finance minister and his team must judiciously allocate resources that comes into their hands, and they may have to prioritize areas of major concerns, and that is what is needed now. So 2 years ago, the government said year of roads. Knowing that you're doing year of roads and you don't have money to pay contractors, you find yourself in this mess. And that is where we are now.
Moving away from that story, the World Bank is currently awaiting Parliament's approval to facilitate the transfer of $300 million in budgetary support for Ghana. This is what Joy Business has picked up from persons working with this facility from the bank in Washington, D.C., USA. George Wafe has the rest of the story.
Joy Business understands that because this is a loan facility, it needs cabinet approval first, as well as Parliament, before the funds can be disbursed. We understand that the Finance Ministry has already secured the required approval from Cabinet. The agreement has now been sent to Parliament for consideration and approval. It is not clear for now whether the World Bank agreement is currently before the Finance Committee and has been approved at that level before the whole House of Parliament considers and approve the deal. After Parliament gives its blessing to this package, the necessary disbursement can be made to government's account at the Bank of Ghana. The World Bank last month approved some $300 million to aid the recovery of Ghana's economy. This was after Ghana passed the first review under the IMF program. But for some, at the time that the Ghana city is going through some challenges because of high demand from businesses resulting in its depreciation, this disbursement coming after Parliament's approval may go a long way to turn around the dwindling fortunes of the Ghana city.
Persistent demand pressures for the dollar would continue to weigh negatively on the cedi's performance this week. This follows the marginal depreciation of the local currency last week, taking its year-to-date loss to about 3%. Here's more in this report. Elevated demand continued to inhibit the cedi's performance last week, causing it to weaken across the major trading currencies. The central bank supported the market with $3 million, but this was not substantial enough to keep the local currency afloat as it shed 0.6% week on week against the American greenback to 12 cedis 53 pesos to $1 at the week's close. The local unit also depreciated 0.16% versus the pound, but gained 0.19% against the euro. Global creditors and rating agencies convened a meeting last week to discuss the impact of rating agencies on some debt-distressed nations, including Ghana. The meeting focused on how actions from rating agencies have exacerbated borrowing costs after successfully restructuring debt. Analysts believe a positive revision to the rating method for the debt-distressed countries by these agencies would be positive for investor confidence in Ghana and improve the cedi's outlook in the medium term. Nonetheless, the pressure on the cedi is expected to continue. Meanwhile, economic analyst with Data Bank Research, Kweku Akokumson, says there is no cause for alarm, although he predicts a further depreciation of the cedi this week.
Oh yes, I would say so, because what would be the cause for alarm would really be huge speculative attacks on our cedi, which we are not seeing now. The depreciations are quite slower and gentler, and as I mentioned, they are mainly from the seasonal corporate demand or the usual corporate demand pressures. And as such, though we are seeing this depreciation, it's not really a look of gloom and doom on the cedi so far. We still see these demand pressures exerting some depreciatory pressures on the cedi for this week. However, I think what we notice is that the central bank it also stands at ready, although not to intervene so much to guide the cedi towards a particular direction. But looking at soundings from the markets on yesterday's trades, and we saw that the central bank had some intervention in the market. With that, the cedi was quite stable in yesterday's market. But generally, we still feel these pressures persist, and as such, they may exert some slight or marginal depreciatory pressures on the cedi this week.
From the city, the Ghana International Trade Commission has recommended a restriction on importation of machete into the country effective March 2024. This follows a petition by Crocodile Machete Company, a local manufacturer, which complained about unfair trade practices by some importers of the product. After a careful investigation and hearing, the Commission believes that the petitioner has been treated unfairly and recommended remedial measures to correct the ongoing market imbalances. There is more in the following report.
Petition by Crocodile Machete Ghana Limited was made in 2021 after it observed an influx of counterfeit machete products in the Ghanaian market, selling at cheaper rate. According to the Ghana International Trade Commission, there was evidence of increasing import of machete, in effect causing serious injury to the domestic industry. Chairman of the Commission, Nana Edujemfi, noted that the Commission has recommended 65% quota on all import of the product for the next 2 years.
Import from China be limited to 1,145.85 tons, whilst imports from Colombia be quantitatively limited to 275.17 tons of machetes per annum. In terms of Brazil, its imports constituted 1.10% of the market. This percentage was determined to be de minimis or negligible because it fell below the 3% mark to attract any remedial measure as per World Trade Organization regulations.
Managing Director for Crocodile Machete Company Limited, Shuid Gueta, welcomed the decision and expressed confidence that the company will be revived.
We are very pleased with the ruling. We believe that this will give us an opportunity to service the well-meaning farmers of the country and end users who expect a quality product. So now we'll be able to deliver this quality product to them without the interference of counterfeit or substandard machetes. Though some will still be there in the market, but at least the reduced quantity will give us that breathing room that is required. And really, it's the farmers and end users of the country that are beneficiaries. But also, let's remember that we are a tax-paying company in Ghana. We employ a lot of people directly. We employ 300 people. Indirectly, I would say there are a few thousand that are dependent on our business. And therefore, all these people now have some breathing room for their businesses also.
The issues of counterfeiting and standards in the petition were referred to the appropriate national regulators.
The Social Security and National Insurance Trust has donated 1 million Ghana cedis to the Pensioners Medical Scheme to shore up medical support to pensioners under the scheme. According to the Director General of SSNIT, Dr. John Ofori-Tenkrine, the donation forms part of the scheme's commitment to ensure the complete well-being of pensioners in the country. More in this report.
The Pensioners Medical Scheme was created by the National Pensioners Association to provide medical support to members with ease. In 2018 and 2019, SSNIT presented amounts of 300,000 and 500,000 Ghana cedis respectively to support the Pensioners Medical Scheme. In an interview, Director General of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, Dr. John Ofori-Tenkrine, said the donation demonstrates the scheme's commitment to ensuring the well-being of pensioners.
In 2018, the Board of Trustees, upon recommendation of management, approved a donation of 300,000 Ghana cedis to support the PMS, and we gave another 500,000 Ghana cedis in 2019 to support the PMS. 2020, COVID came, 2021, and there we even found another way to support them through the donation of pickup and vehicles, and also the continuous support we offered to them by granting them offices and places, meeting places in our buildings. We've renovated those buildings over the years to make sure that they are comfortable. Today we've given this 1 million Ghana cedis yet as a token to shore up the PMS. And I'm glad that today we at least have heard 2 testimonies from beneficiaries of the program to attest to the fact that it is working and it plays a very important role in their lives.
General Secretary of the National Pensioners Association, Stephen Boache, said the donation was timely and would be used for its intended purpose.
I said I deem it as a merciful donation because most of our people are all going to the grave. I can tell you, through these cancers, cervical, breast, prostate, and others. We have people who have been on this prostate for some years who are suffering, and we are seeing that this donation is very, very timely. May God richly bless you. Indeed, we are at a loss for words to express how happy and grateful we are to the donors, that the SSNIT and others, and the passion they have exhibited in supporting this endeavor.
SSNIT intends to pay over 7 billion Ghana cedis in pension benefit this year.
Ghana placed last out of 24 African countries with a deterioration in its risk-reward index in 2023. That's according to UK-based firms Control Risk and Oxford Business Economics Africa. The report revealed that the country recorded a negative 0.96 out of a score of 10 among its peers in Africa. Here's more.
To the report, Ghana dropped by 0.35 to 4.74 in the reward index. Its risk index, however, went up to 5.85 in September 2023 as against 5.24 in September 2022. The reward scores incorporate medium-term economic growth forecasts, economic size, economic structure, and demographics. Ghana has been battling with a slowdown in its economic growth of an average of 5% pre-debt exchange program. This is a result of the debt default in 2022 culminating in the restructuring of payment of its loans. Inflation and the cedi consequently worsened in more than 3 decades, increasing both the cost of living and doing business. The risk scores for each country also stemmed from the Economic and Political Risk Evaluator. Ghana's debt default increased the risk of doing business and worsened the macroeconomic environment. The Africa Risk Reward Index is defined by the combination of risk and reward scores, integrating economic and political risk analysis by Control Risks and Oxford Economics Africa.
Valentine's Day is just tomorrow, and businesses will be making some money as people go out of their way to show love to friends and family. But times have changed and people are having to think twice about how and what they spend on during these challenging times. So what is anticipation in the hospitality sector? President of the Ghana Hotels Association, Dr. Edward Akanyamike Jr., tells us more.
I must say, though, that this year in particular, it's been on a rather low key. We are yet to know exactly why. We can suggest some reasons, but we are not very sure of it. But the tempo has been quite low, so we are looking to see what happens tomorrow. Because usually the D-Day itself is where you gets to see the actual numbers. And also bear in mind that this is falling on the weekday, a bit of the week for that matter. So it's also possible that some may shift the celebration itself to the weekend. So the hotels are prepared. Some of them have put out special packages for lunch, brunch, and then dinner tomorrow, hoping that our cherished clients will take advantage of that. And don't forget that January itself comes with a lot of expenses, school fees included, and people are adjusting to the expenses made during the Christmas. Okay, and of course, with all these issues about taxes here and there, I'm sure everybody is positioning themselves to be sure that they are not run over with the taxes that seems to be coming to a state. So all those things could be a reason why the key is quite low. But like I said, tomorrow is the D-Day, and we may also receive some surprises here and there. Because during the Val Day, you receive a lot of walk-ins. Not the usual regular customer, but walk-ins where people go out for events and then they decide to go and spend the evening or night in hotels. So we'll see how it goes.
Stakeholders in Ghana's fintech industry are concerned about the rate at which numerous taxes are affecting their operations. They say this is impacting cost of operations and are asking government to reassess the tax regime. Chief Executive Officer of eTransact, John Appiah, explained that the sector is experiencing massive growth but needs more support to create jobs. He spoke to Joy Business.
I've lived in places where I've seen what taxes have been able to do. They've been able to do some good things. So I understand where tax is coming from. They said there's two certain things in life: death and taxes. So taxes will always come. It's tough on us. Yeah, it's tough on us, especially within this fintech space. It's tough on us. I think it's tough on every Ghanaian. Yeah, whatever company you're doing, unless the demand for your product is completely inelastic. I'm using a lot of your economic terms. Yeah, I'm taking you back. Yeah, unless it is, you feel the pinch. Yeah, no one wants to. But I think with everything, James, I think the important things in life is finding equilibrium. So tax can be a force for good, but overtaxing, just like overfishing depletes fish stock.
But do you guys feel you are being overtaxed in any area?
I think we're being adequately taxed, and I know we're on TV, so I have to watch my words. I think no one wants to pay tax, a lot of tax, So I think for now we are okay. Any more taxes, and I think I'll ask you to come for another interview. But for now, I think we're being able to handle it. But we wish that the powers that be recognize our role in job creation and our role in being able to drive the economy. Where we sit with innovation, we are at a very important point in our history.
Wherever you find yourself, digitization and all that, working with financial institutions, the banks, the savings and loans, and the other financial institutions, how has it been? Is it challenging, or it's been seamless working with some of these financial institutions?
I find that it's been very seamless, and I think the best example I give it, I find it to be complementary. There are some goods that work well together, like Gary and sugar, like Gary, sugar and milk. They're all complementary, like a television and a VCR. They complement each other. On their own, they might be able to do something, but when you put them together, they are able to do much more than what they do individually. So I think what the banks realized early on was what we bring, that innovation we bring to be able to reach the customer, the unbanked population, either the unbanked or underbanked populations. And I think that is where we've come in. So I think the banks very early on recognize what we bring to the table.
That'll be all for Prime Business tonight with me, Emma Davis. For more business news, do log on to myjoyonline.com. I leave you with international business, after which is Prime Sports. Do stay.